This is the Etobicoke Lakeshore podcast. Go ahead, call it L-Pod. Hey, Roger, if we get t-shirts for the show, can we just put L-Pod on them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got some being designed as we speak.
I love...
Hashtag listen now.
And I love what you're doing. By the way, hi, I'm Mike, and I'm hosting this podcast ongoing with my good buddy over here, Roger Tumanieri. He's the publisher of the Etobicoke Lakeshore Press, and he has invented something in media that I never saw coming. You are a genius, Roger. Truck casting.
My wife says that all the time.
She does not. You are truck casting.
She totally doesn't. I'm truck casting, and this is becoming a thing. I am, well, for all intents and purposes, banned from my house.
Yeah.
I've got 2 little kids, 2 dogs, and my wife has her hands full with them. So I am sitting in the truck talking to you guys.
I love this show more every day. I swear to God. It won't be long before we're sharing a bunker, you and I, someplace undisclosed and away from anybody who we're irritating. As we go through isolation together, a little social distancing. And by the way, as we go through this, and by the time this airs, I'll be even more confident of this. We are headed in the right direction. We don't have to do this much longer, I'm pretty sure. That's just I'm not one of the professionals, and I'm not a medical expert, and I do understand the severity of this. But what we're doing as a nation and as a society, it seems to be working. So I have great hope in my heart that we will beat summer to the outdoors.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, let's do this. As we go along here with the show, we're meeting different people from the neighborhood. Finding out what their perspective is, how business is going, what's going on with their group, and what their mindset is. Today's a big one because when it comes to having a presence in the South Etobicoke area, definitely Humber College is at the top of that list. It is a major community there.
Oh, I would agree. It's like a community unto itself.
Yeah.
And we're really fortunate today to have on the show Jennifer Bazar. She's the curator of the Lakeshore Grounds Interpretive Centre. She's also a Long Branch resident. So I've really been looking forward to talking to Jennifer. We talk pretty often. She and I have been doing a lot of work together over the last couple of years with a magazine. So it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. My pleasure.
I am a Humber alum. What is it? You're the Ph.D. Tell me.
I would go with alum. Alum works.
Thanks. By the way, it's a beautiful center that you have down there. The grounds are incredible. If you've never had the opportunity to visit, and shortly you will be able to again, it is well worth it. What you've done down there, what Humber College has done is spectacular. Tell us a little bit about the campus.
The campus, the Lakeshore campus is a dream to work on. It's one of the things that I tell people about when I sort of explain what I do is that I work in a little piece of paradise down in South Etobicoke. It is surrounded by beautiful parkland. It is steps away from the shoreline of Lake Ontario, and it's this incredible mix of historic buildings that, as a historian, I have the privilege of working at.
And so tell us a little bit about your job then in keeping it that way.
Sure. So as Roger mentioned, I am the curator of the Lakeshore Grounds Interpretive Centre. And so it's essentially a small community museum that represents the history of the grounds. So we host different exhibits, art shows, a lot of walking tours of the grounds, and the underground tunnels, of course, is always a popular one. Events that bring people to the grounds to talk about its history. And so some of that is the Indigenous heritage, some of that is the psychiatric hospital, the Teachers College, the construction of Colonel Samuel Smith Park, films and TV shows. I mean, it's one of those that there's always something new to talk about, which, again, is a fun thing to do during the day.
That's really cool. Now, you talk about the events and all of the activity that goes on there. Right now, those grounds are getting a really probably well-deserved Trump on break and letting nature do its thing. What is going on? How are you handling this? Not just, we'll talk about school in general in a sec, but just the grounds themselves. What's happening there?
So the grounds campus is officially closed to not all non-essential staff. So there is still, security and facilities and cleaning staff who are on site, but the rest of us are all working remotely, and students are engaging in their studies remotely. So the Interpretive Center has moved online. All of my team is, in their own homes, sort of working with the internet connections that they have. And we're looking for ways to be able to engage our community from a distance, sort of in that respect. Yeah.
Boy, we've all adapted it in any way we can to just keep moving forward. Isn't that interesting?
I actually really enjoy it. I was saying to somebody the other day that there's moments right now, we've been pretty much for a month now in these sort of circumstances, and I feel busier than I was when we were in person at times.
It's incredible, isn't it? I have that same feeling quite often. Yeah, I think because we have to add that layer of here's how we do this now, and pretty soon that will become second nature to us. So when we get back to meeting, there probably will be more of this going on. We'll feel more comfortable on the whole.
That's one of the things actually we've talked about a lot, is that we're trying to make sure that we don't do anything that's just a one-off, right? Like it's great to start using our social media differently and looking at ways to expand, our online offerings on our website, or to engage with people over technology. But I don't want to do anything that then stops immediately as soon as we're able to reopen our physical space. This seems like an opportunity to develop other ways of engaging and sort of increasing the outreach that we have. And so we're trying to look at it from that approach, as this is not just sort of these emergency circumstances that we're in, but also an opportunity that might teach us something new.
Very smart. Okay, let's talk about the students for a second in all of this, because I have a post-secondary student myself, and we had to bug out, as it were, from Laurier early in this isolation bout that we're going through. How did that go at Humber? What are you guys up to there?
Yeah, so most students have gone back home, whether that's sort of nearby or at a distance. There are still a handful of students who were not able to find other accommodations, who are up at the residence at North Campus and are sort of being accommodated there. But we moved all of the classes and student supports online, and so faculty is doing their best and staff is doing their best to try to accommodate those. We are in the very final week of the winter semester class. So there's also the added level of not only is everybody trying to manage with this new situation and their own challenges at home, but they're also in exams.
Yeah,
it's a big week.
So, Roger, just to put this in perspective, some of the things that you have to do in post-secondary isolation for exams is scan your room so that they can see that there's nobody cheating with you. Really? That your eyes have to stay on the screen at all times, because it notifies the teacher that you could be looking away to cheat. They've already found ways around students cheating on their exams in isolation. So a lot of layers have had to be built into this.
Yeah, and it was a short time frame too. Humber went the route where they canceled classes for a week when they officially closed campus, to give faculty that time to readjust their courses and their offerings to be able to be offered online. But it's a really short turnaround for classes that weren't intended for that type of delivery. And so I know that everyone is trying to do their best, but it's not the ideal.
So hats off to the faculty and to the students for adapting.
And to the students, yeah. Both sides of that are really, adapting to the coin that was thrown at them.
It's quite incredible, yeah.
I wanted to ask, this really kind of caught everybody by surprise, but had you guys had any kind of contingency plans in place for anything like this?
Humber does have contingency plans for all sorts of circumstances, whether it was, a fire, a flood, whatever type of closure there might be. And the Interpretive Center similarly. Now, we hadn't thought through necessarily this longer, long-term kind of situation. But I'm certain that the higher ups have probably given that some thought and are sort of feeding that through down to us.
Are you putting a plan together now for the Interpretive Center over the course of the summer? I would imagine we'll get, once again, I have no idea. I speculate like a broadcast guy who graduated from Humber, not as a politician or a doctor, okay? But I would assume that we're going to find ways to stage back to life. Is that how you're kind of planning to handle the Interpretive Center and the grounds and all of that?
Yeah, exactly. So what we've done for the Interpretive Center is that we've rejigged our plans for what the next few months look like. My assumption is that we're going to focus on remote offerings through to the end of summer. So sort of through to the end of August is the way that I'm thinking about it. So we've readjusted our budget accordingly, readjusted our exhibit plans since we won't be physically hosting those on site. Because even if we get back, earlier in the summer, I suspect it's not going to be the circumstances where a lot of people are going to want to gather en masse for an event or, a tour in a confined space. So I'd rather focus on the idea that we're going to make sure that we've got community offerings that we can share over the summer through a remote, focus, that we can still hire summer students. That's obviously a key thing. We want to make sure that we continue to support the students that we've often in the past had the opportunity to do. And then, my goal right now is to kind of plan that fall we would be back in person, but we'll adjust as public health tells us to. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty common, but it's very interesting. And Roger, you probably agree because we move on day to day. There has to be two things. You almost have three parallel trains running on tracks. One is your constant mission with your job and the campus on the whole. The second is what we're doing for isolation. And then third, what we're doing to get back to life. This is a lot to be thinking about all at one time.
No, I think certainly. Yeah, it's hitting everybody in different ways, and everybody's really forced to kind of, I think, look inward and try to figure out, okay, well, like, what are the most important things here? Everybody's situation is different, right? Like Jennifer, your situation is different than mine, and it's different than Mike's. But yeah, I'd be curious to know the answer you've got to that question, Jennifer, because I think, you're probably, like you said, you're busier than you have been before all of this started.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we've done, the Interpretive Center is a small team, right? So my little close-knit group maybe has a different experience than others, but we've just approached it in the sense of making sure that we're always, regularly in contact like we were before, and just making sure that it's clear about what our priorities are. Our priorities are our health, our family, our living circumstances, any sort of commitments we have to extended family or neighbors, our mental health, all of these kinds of things come first. Then their studies, because all of my staff are students, that was next. Right. And the Interpretive Center was like way down on the list. I'm happy that they're still engaged with the team. I'm happy that they're still working, but it's not the priority, and nor should it be.
That's a wonderful approach. You know what? If my boss was saying, look, take care of family, take care of yourself and your studies, and we're going to still be here, that's an amazing base of at least that anxiety is removed from what they love to do. Obviously, that's why they're working with you.
Well, I hope that's the reason they're working with us.
I would assume that that's what it is. You'd have to have a passion for that. And if they're staying in touch and trying to stay interactive with you, it sounds to me like they're also drawing from that community aspect of being part of your team.
I hope so. Yeah. And that's also where I draw strength from, is the fact that it is a little community, and our wider audience is a community to me as well. And so when people reach out to us or comment or, answer things that we've posted, it means a lot. It helps my little 1-bedroom apartment feel a little less confining.
I get that. We do need to reach out. That's why Roger and I do this show, because in that little truck of his, in that cab, where's the kitchen in that thing? The back seat?
Right beside me, I got the kitchen. The bathroom's in the back seat.
Oh, gotcha.
And then I got the bed in the bed.
So it gets a little tight in there. And so Roger and I reach out, and the world gets a little bit bigger just among us. And you know what? That you would join us today and talk about this makes it even that much more wonderful. Any message you'd like to send out to the students in that community as long as we've got you here?
Oh, gosh. Just that we've got your back, whether they're students or whether they're our neighbors in the community. We might be a little bit quieter. You might not see us out on the street as much, but we are here. And the whole Humber community and the Interpretive Center are very much thinking of them.
Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now that you've gone online to some degree, where can people find out more about the Interpretive Center?
So probably the easiest is just to go on our website, lakeshoregrounds.ca, and you can find the links to our social media. You can find our email address, and all sorts of ways to get in touch with us.
I hope you're back to events and enjoying summer on the grounds really, really soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Once again, Roger, an awesome perspective in the community and a major part of the community with such an impactful, it's like the most beautiful part of that neighborhood. I love to go to that part of the neighborhood and make my way through the campus. It's stunning.
It's really, it's in the center of everything. It's an absolutely beautiful campus. It's all natural green space for the most part. And then it's got these beautiful historic buildings with some new builds, and there's some new development coming to Humber. So there's a lot of investment, not just financial, but also intellectual investment in that area through Humber. So they are doing great things for the Etobicoke Lakeshore community.
All right. Well, listen, please subscribe to this podcast. You're part of the community. We're coming to you as often as we can right now through a social distance period in our spring. But we are getting ready to get back to life, and we're keeping everybody informed as best we can. Keep yourself safe. Enjoy the outdoors as best you can at a safe distance from others, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Mike.